Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Nathan's 3D Factory. In this episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make this kind of like a rotary message thing, right? So this is going to be something where I'm going to show that I'm either busy or I'm available, right? So what I want to do is that I want to have something where I can just kind of like turn a dial so that it'll either go to the busy position or the free position, okay? So what I want to do is I want to sketch out something here, right? Something to give me an idea on how wide I want to make this, and then how tall and how deep I want to do this, right? And then just some kind of the basic shapes as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing on here just to give us an idea. Doesn't have to be exact, right? So first thing that I'll do is that I'm going to draw out just some kind of like a thing where it's going to be like this. Okay, and I'm freehanding this to start us out. I think you've seen enough of my videos to know that I am all about the freehand. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to have a pair of legs on it as well. So I'll do that. So so that gives me kind of a little idea on that as well. And then I also want to do some kind of a window here. Okay, so I'll have it so that I'll just say free on that. Okay. Okay, we'll see how this works here. So, all right. So that gives me an idea on the front of this. And then we'll go to the side. Okay. So, now what I want to do is draw kind of a rough circle on this, right? Okay. So it's just going to be something like that. And then I'm going to have some 60-degree angles coming out for legs. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a knob that I'm going to use to operate this, okay? So, and I want to do just kind of like a pentagon star type of a knob, so I'll just do this, right? So I'll do something like that. Okay? So, and then I'm going to have it so that has just kind of the middle of it right there, right? Okay. So those are some ideas just to get me started on this. And then I can kind of make things up as I'm going through this. So so now what I'll do is I'll get rid of this cube for now. Okay. So now I'm just going to go here, X, delete. Okay. And then I'm going to add a cylinder. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to increase my radius some. I haven't quite figured that out yet. So, and then I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. And then I'm going to increase the depth. Okay. Let's see. I think this is about 80 on this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And then on this, I think this is about 40 or 20 on the radius. Let's see. All right. And then I'm going to grab this on the Z axis. Okay. And then I'll do this 25. Okay. Let's look at 30. Okay. That looks better. Okay. So that'll be the first thing there. And I think what I want to do for those legs is that I want to have those as kind of like these equilateral triangles, right? Something like that. So they'll be carved out by this drum right here, okay? So what I'll do then is I'll do a circle, okay? a mesh circle. Now I'm going to make a bigger radius on this. Okay, let's see. So let's see what this looks like at 25. And then for vertices, I'm going to set this to 3. And that gives me an equilateral triangle. Okay, and we'll just call this an n-gon for this. There's only three vertices. What are you going to do? It's not going to make the geometry complex or anything. Okay, and then let's see. If we rotate this on the 90 degree here, then that should give us something there, okay? And then I'm going to rotate the X 60. Okay, that was a mistake right there. Oh, hello. Okay. Okay, let's see. What happens if I do that? Okay. So now, okay, looking at that, we want to have that at 0 on the X. There we go. Okay, and we put it... Okay, 90 degrees on the Y. We're going to go 60 on the Z. Yeah, that's definitely not it. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me on this. Let's see. All right. So that does some weird stuff. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clear the rotation on this by doing apply rotation. All right. R X 60. All right, so it's not going to be 60 on this. Negative 30. That'll do it. Right there. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to grab this along the z-axis. Okay, and I'm going to turn on the magnet, and I'm going to go to vertex. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to grab this along the x-axis. All right. I'll take this 36 over. There we go. Give it an even number at least, so that way I can kind of track it better. Now, I'm going to extrude this EX negative 5. Okay, I like that thickness. There we go. Okay. Now, as I start getting these pieces in, these legs, I'm going to do this one at a time. Gotta say, my doodling skills right here aren't too bad. Not the best, but not too bad. So, next thing I want to do is that I want to carve this out, but I don't want to have a bunch of messy geometry on this. So, what I want to do then is I want to look at this as if I were going to divide this evenly with these vertices, okay? So, right here we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vertices right here. And then 8 and 9 basically we would do on this, okay? So what I'm going to do then is that 8 and 9 will be right here. And then 1 through 7 will be down here on this. I'm going to subdivide this this edge right here and this one as well. In fact, I want to do this as these two. And in fact, I'm just going to go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, there we go. All right, so now that should give us something that we can use for joining or subtracting or whatever you want to do, right? So then what I want to do is I want to take this so that this goes right up to that face. Okay. So I'm going to do another one here. And I'm going to change this now to face. I'm going to do an edge slide or a vertex slide. Okay. So that gives me that. Do the same thing here. Control R. All right, there we go. And now let's see what happens if we do a Boolean. I'm not promising anything here except for possibly misery, okay? So, FYI, this may not turn out happy. That's why I don't like using Booleans, I'll be totally honest. But we're going to give it a go here. So I want you to see what kind of things we do, okay? A Boolean. We're going to do a difference. We're going to select this, okay? Now, right off the bat, this actually looks like it's pretty good. It's pretty decent, right? So if we were to apply this, let's see what happens, okay? Okay. And actually, looking at that, that's a pretty decent cut, wouldn't you say? And then if we want this to go clean into our STL exports and our OBJ exports and stuff, then all we do is we would just get these so that they're joined together, okay? So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to clean this up. Okay, let's see. Get out there, solid. I want to delete this face, okay? And then go into edge select. And I want everything except for these. Shift E, or Control E. Bridge edge loops. Not the happiest result, is it? Like I say, they're not always accurate results with Booleans. But it still came out pretty clean. What I can do is I can clean up these results down here. Because I find these will probably be easier results to clean up than the ones up here. So, I'm also going to get rid of this other face here, okay? X, F. So we're going to count these edges again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now let's see if I counted these right when I did them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we have the matching edge loops. So here's another thing I can look at as well. Shift N. And that might be why our edge loops did not go correctly. So let's look at this. You're seeing this real time, so I could be doing like a real time total failure, or I could be a total success here, okay? Control F, or Control E, sorry. Bridge edge loops. Now we got it right. So look at this. This is one of those Nathan was right moments. But you know what? Now we're going to try this. Now we'll do the same thing where we deselect those edge ones. Control E. Okay. So not quite the best there. Shift N. Now we're going to try it this way instead. We're going to do just the control path on this one and do it this way. Control E, bridge edge loops. Okay. So, I think this is somewhere we can say we learned something new. Instead of doing the alt select like we would typically do, we do a path select by doing the shortest path by using control, okay? So, that now takes care of that problem. So now we have one of the legs. And I actually want to put the pivot point right here on this, okay? Right here, Shift S, cursor to selected. Now, I want to set the origin to 3D cursor. Alright, so now we have our origin right there. I'm going to do Shift C to recenter the 3D cursor, okay? Now, what I want to do is that I want to do the pivot point for this to be the 3D cursor, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete or duplicate this, Shift D, S, X, -1. And then I want to do Control A, scale. So now this is back at its original scale. I also want to do Control A, rotation. We'll do the same thing here. So, because I saw that up here there was a -30 rotation that I forgot to apply. So now that's been taken care of. All right. So now we need to come up with a viewport window on this, okay? So to do this viewport window, I want to have this so it's roughly going to be, so it's going to be even with these legs right here, okay? So now I'm going to go into my cylinder. Okay, and now I'm going to do 2 edge loops. One of them is going to go over this this direction. So Shift V, and I actually want to change this to vertex. Okay, Shift V. There we go. Shift V. We'll try that again. Okay, there we go. So sometimes Blender's not going to always obey your commands, but you know, if at first you don't succeed, just try again. So now taking a look at this, I have these vertices, or these faces right here that I want to delete. Okay? So we'll take these 4 faces I see, X, F. So those can be my view window for this dial object, right? So doing that, now we can come up with just the rest of this that we want to get in for our drum that's going to be inside of this, that's going to show our messages, okay? But we also need to have this so that it gets solidified. Okay, so now what we'll do is that we'll have this so that this gets solidified. So we'll add a solidify modifier. Okay. Now the thickness that I want on this is going to be, I got 3 on this, okay? Okay, there we go. So that takes care of the next part. I also want to do a subdivision surface on this. Okay. So, and right here you can see some things that are going to need to be fixed up on this, okay? So, put that at a 2 level, all right? So, the things that I want to take care of are that I'm going to do some creases on here, okay? All right, here we go. Shift E, 1. Okay, there we go. Now I want to do the same thing here. Shift E, 1. And then I think I want to do the same thing on these as well. Shift E, 1. Okay. There we go. So now that smooths us out. And then we can also add some control edge loops on this to make sure that we don't get any weird stuff like what I'm seeing right there, right? So I can add another control edge loop. It goes to negative 0.75. Okay. Do that for both sides. Okay. Then we can also grid fill these as well. So I go here, Shift, Control F, grid fill. Then I can offset that. I can also adjust my spans on it and everything. I can do whatever I want on that. So, then I can do that. Okay. So I got that. That's something else I can do. So I will say though, on this one, I don't want to do that right now. So I'm going to Control Z that. But I will do it on this one, okay? Control F. Okay. So we'll do this. Okay. So got that. So we go back to this one. We're going to inset this. Now I want to have this so that it goes in '16. There we go. Okay. Now remember I said I was going to do a knob? Yeah, that's what I need to do next. XF. Okay, there we go. So now that also corrects some of the incorrect geometry that we had before, where we did some really weird stuff, right? So we're going to stop this right here, and we're actually going to do this in multiple parts, okay? So we're going to start off with just showing you this right here. Then in the next episode, what we're going to do is that we're going to show you how to do the inner drum and how to do some stop mechanisms, okay? So stay tuned for that episode. So yes, this is 2 parts right now, and I'll add episodes as I need to. So let me know what you think of this episode. I didn't want to have this going too long. And let me know what kind of topics you'd like to see. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please make sure to do so. Stay up to date on new projects that I'm doing. I'm also going to be adding stuff to my website, nathans3dfactory.com, stuff that I'll be selling, and also giving you some ideas and inspiration on what you can do for your own 3D projects. So make sure to leave comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And thank you so much for watching this episode of Nathan's 3D Factory. Have a great day, guys.